Okay, so solving one-step equations is what we're going to start our new unit on. This is Unit 3. When you start looking for assignments and notes, it's all going to be under Unit 3. Coach Elkins put his note page up already on this. I gave some paper versions to a couple people that were missing some of these numbers and out in variables. So if you need to fill them out on your paper, then go for it. You can pause. It's also in his video. One-step equations, you guys did this in 7th grade, but it's been an actual year since you've done it, so you probably forgot. But the whole goal for us is to solve for the variable or the letter that's in our equation. That's what we're doing. And to do that, we have to keep the equation balanced, a balancing scale. So each side of our equal side needs to have the same thing on it. So to do that, we have to move things by doing the opposite operation. So if we have multiplication on one side like this, which just looks like a number scooched up next to a letter, that means it's being multiplied. That means we would have to divide, which is the opposite. Okay, same thing here. Negative 5x, that's the same as saying negative 5 times x times something. So we would divide by negative 5. If you see this operation, that means that they are dividing. So the opposite of dividing is to multiply. You won't see that as often, but just know the opposite of division is multiplication. Addition, so in this case, there's no sign in front of that 9. It doesn't have a little plus sign. So since there's not a sign, we know that it's a positive number. So to get rid of it, we would have to do the opposite of a plus sign or positive, and that would be to subtract. On this one, we have a negative 1, so the opposite of a negative or a minus is to add. And then you're going to see this a couple times, the h minus negative. A minus negative cancels each other out, so that actually becomes a plus sign. So really this problem is h plus 8. So that's why it says subtract. We would have to subtract the 8. Okay, I'm going to look at the worksheet. Since Coach Elkins went through all of this, I'm going to go ahead and look at these. One-step equations. So I'm going to get the calculator. Okay, so I like to circle each number, and I draw a line separating the two sides just so I can see clearly which side has the most items on it, because that's the side we want to start with. We're going to start with the side that has more stuff because, again, we want to keep it balanced. It's an equation. So I'm going to start with this side because another reason, if we got rid of this 26.2, now we would have nothing over there. And so there's nothing we can do. We're done. But that's not a good thing because we won't have an answer. So I've got to get rid of this 8.7. So there's no sign in front of it, so that tells me it's a positive. And we have to do the opposite to get rid of it. So the opposite of a positive 8.7 would be a negative 8.7 or minus 8.7. Positive and negative cancel each other out. What we do to one side of the equation, we have to do to the other side of the equation. So I'm going to type that in, 26.2 minus 8.7, and I get 17.5. And that's my answer. I'm going to scoot down. I'm going to scooch to some of the more difficult ones. Okay, on number 6. First of all, I have this 1/5. So I have a decimal and a fraction. I want them to look the same. So I'm going to turn this 7 and 1/5 into a decimal. So to do that, I'm going to take the 1/5, 1 divided by 5, and that gives me 0.2. So this 7 and 1/5 is actually 7.2. And I'm going to rewrite it because I'm a crazy person and I have to see all the things. Okay, so here's what's weird. I've got 7.2 equals u minus negative 6.4. Minus negative cancels out. So this really becomes a big plus sign. So it's really u plus 6.4. So now to get rid of plus or positive 6.4, I do the opposite, which is minus or negative 6.4. And that cancels out, minus 6.4. So that's pretty cut and dry. I'm gonna let y'all subtract that one. Okay, here's one with a negative on one side. This isn't a hard problem, but the negatives, if you don't put them in your calculator right, it'll give you a weird answer. So we've got G minus 6 equals negative 5. So I have to move something from this side because that's where the variable is. There's more stuff over here. So I'm going to move that negative 6. The opposite of negative 6 or minus 6 would be plus 6, plus 6. So it cancels out on this side. Now in the calculator though, I am going to put negative 5 plus 6. Don't forget your negative, okay? You don't want to forget that. On number 8, if you have division, the opposite would be to multiply. Okay, and so 18 times negative 6. And let's look at the back side. On the back. Focus. Okay, I think number 18 was one that they went over in class together. And since there were fractions again, we changed those fractions to decimals. So 1 divided by 4 is 0.25. So this number is actually 6.25. And the 4/5, 4 divided by 5 is 0.8. So it's actually 10.8. So again, I have to rewrite this because that does not look good to me. 6.25 plus K equals 10.8. So I have all of this, and I need to get rid of something over here so I can balance my equation out. There's not a sign in front of 6.25. So if you want to write a positive sign out to the side, you totally can. Or if you are good about knowing if there's not a sign, then it's positive, you can leave it alone. So, but since it's positive, I have to do the opposite to get rid of it. So minus 6.25 minus 6.25. And I'll let you subtract that on your own. Remember, if there's a number right smushed up next to the variable or the letter, that is multiplying. So you would have to divide. And in this case, it's got a negative in front, so divide by negative 9.75. Felt like there was another one I was just wanting to go over, but I don't remember. Just remember, a lot of people today, and every year we talk about this, they see this. So we've got negative 6.5 plus f. Sorry, I'm kind of overlapping. I'm looking at the screen and not my paper. They see this and they are confused as to which sign to go off of. Like they'll ask if they should look at the negative or this. Always look at the sign in front of the number. When I say in front, I'm talking like when you read a book, you go left to right. Okay, so that's a negative 6.5. So when I go to move it, I am changing that sign, that negative sign, to a plus sign, plus 6.5. I've had people try to do plus negative or minus negative, which would actually be okay, but don't do that. So you're just changing that sign in front. Ignore what's behind it. You're just looking at that number with the sign in front. That's why I circle mine. Okay. That's all for that. If there's any more that you're struggling with and you need help with, let me know. But I did want to show you. Okay, so here's my phone. And I also have this on my iPad, but I'm going to show you on phone so you guys know like that you can download this app on your phone. There's an app called Calculate 84. So if you click on it, well, when you download it, first of all, it's free. But it is the closest thing. It looks like the buttons are not there, but they're That's super weird. Okay. How weird is that? The buttons are like, you can barely see the numbers. In person, it looks a lot better. But this is the closest thing I have seen to what we use in class. So if you are someone that doesn't have this calculator with you, like we haven't given you one, or you're out of town, or whatever reason, even when you guys come back to school and you may have homework over the weekend, this is awesome because it's literally, it's got the second button, it's got alpha, which you're not going to need, but you've got the square roots and the square and all of the things that you could need. It is so awesome, and it's free. And I don't know if Androids have them or not, but I know the iPhone does. So if you are not already using something, if you're struggling to find something to calculate with, this is what you want to do.